all the pieces. Good morning, guys. It is Simon with toughtrader.com and Video Good. Thank you, Peter. So this is Simon with toughtrader.com. Let's get through the unpleasantries. First thing out of the gate, past performance is not indicative of future results. You can lose a lot of money trading futures. Have a trade plan. Know what you want to do with that trade plan. Make sure it includes a active risk management and that you can follow it. Do not blow your account up. It's not worth it. There's no glory in it. I am sharing my trade plan with you in hopes it'll make you a better trader, right? But it is up to you to execute at a high level and with discipline and understand what you are looking at and what you are looking for in order to make money. So let's jump into it. Okay, quickly, Globex high and Globex low on ES. That is yesterday's. This is today's. We have, let's see, that's Russell. Let's rearrange the chairs on the deck. NQ and ES, and then we're going to make this smaller. Russell looks like a balloon underwater to me, by the way, guys. I'm sure everything is at this point, but Russell in particular, I sure would like a backside test of that white zone this morning. I don't know if we'll get it. It sure looks like it can push back up to all-time highs. It's just something I recognize in that chart. I'm not sure what it is, but it sure looks like it's there. So ES, Globex high came in at 28.52 and a quarter. Okay, 52.25. We had Globex low was 28.41 and a quarter. Oh, I did something wrong. Cancel. New parallel. Format. 28.41 and a quarter. 41.25. There we go. Right at the, that's either the point of control. That is point of control is what that is. Makes perfect sense. Okay, and NQ. 69.72. That is actually quite a critical level. And I'll show you why in just 1 second. 6972 even. And Globex low 40s, 30s. 69.34 and a quarter. Okay, let's jump in. Let's see, I started Join Me. I just need to start Join Me on the other computer so I can share the screen, and we will start. Let's pull this up here. 350-398. So obviously we're in a risk-on environment. I don't think anyone's shocked by that. Oh. Okay. Let's get the PPOs up. Now I got them all on one page. Minimize that. We will start with NQ. Okay. So what I want to show on this NQ chart that's really important for today, we're just going to go through step by step. So we cannot have a breakout unless we hold above 69.55. So the first thing I'm going to note in my chart, I am opening above value area high. That sets me up for potential for trend day up automatically, right? We are not opening out of range, right? There's Globex high. We are still with, there's prior day's high, right? So we're opening above value, right? We have to get above, prior day's high. Step number one, can't have a trend day up without getting above prior day's high. So we're opening in range above value, right? So what do I expect in here? I expect a little bit of a dogfight, right? The most critical thing I want to see is in this dogfight is, can we stay above 69.55? I don't care if they do that after the first hour, in the first hour. The first test I need to see is, hey, we can't get below 69.55. The most logical response to an inability to get above 69.55 is to push out or at least come to a test to prior day's high. Now, and I'm going to show you why in just a second, and I'm going to do this as quickly as I can because I'm running a little bit late. If we consolidate above 69.78, I expect trend day up, and I expect that high to be tested and broken. Okay, I expect this high to get broken. Okay, conversely, if I open up and hold above 69.55, but I can't make it above 69.78, and then I close back into value, I expect this to come down and test Globex low, which was roughly 69.40, which lines right up with the TPO point of control. The volume point of control never shifted up, and there's no white zone for members in the room. There's no white zone because see how flat this is? See how we usually have a pointed area? Okay, this can get traded through relatively easily. Okay, there's no single point of defense in this profile to me. It was just well spread out, which was a wide range balance day, right? The other thing you'll notice in a bigger picture is we're starting to form overhead resistance. So if we're trading underneath 69.55 and have an inability to get back above, my assumption is we are going to come back, and my guess would be so there's tests all the way through, but my test is since the volume point of control is all the way down at 69.20 1/4, my assumption will be that we will find a way to come down and test 69.20 1/4. Now, the true key points, okay, if we're breaking down, right, if we stay, so this is a bit of a trick, right? We have to get above Wednesday's high to break out. We have to get below Wednesday's low to break down. We have not tested the lows here, right? So if we get underneath 69.20 again, right, we've already tested 69.03 to the tick almost yesterday, right? So my assumption is we'll come down, and most likely we will clean out what has to be a world of stops sitting right here. Okay, so what has to happen to have that happen? First test for that is we have to get below 69.55, then below 69.40, and finally consolidate underneath 69.20. We'll know when it's setting up because each of those will be distinct stages. You'll see the market work its way through, right? The last piece is, so I want to show you where I want to be a buyer if we get underneath this, right? So there's no point of control. The market cleans up this chart starting at 69, let's call it 69.50 for sake of conversation, right? So from 69.50 down to this barely missed 68.31, right? I want to make sure that I have my guns ready to go. I'm looking for a swing back up to test back into the range, right? This would make the perfect bottom of a range. It cleans this chart up completely. I would expect to push out of 68.40. And so I am looking for a response of buyers down from 69.65, 100 down, brings us to 68.65, which puts us right in this sweet spot, right between these two locations, right? This is a second distribution that never got tested, so I would expect some type of response here. And then this area specifically needs to be filled in. Hopefully we make it all the way down here if we get into this for the response and the shoot back into 68.86. I don't expect us to get down there, but if we do, that's my trade plan in that area. I am ready to get long through this area, okay? I am ready to get long holding above 69.55 for the push out, and particularly I want to hold on to those longs above 69.78 for an assault on the high, right? I expect we're probably going to attempt an open drive higher would be my guess here, just from judging from the strength, right? So if I don't get the open, let me reverse that. I'm expecting buyers to come in right out of the gate. If I do not get that, right, and I get stuck below 69.55 out of the gate and we can't get back above, my trade plan changes, right, to a scalping trade plan. I expect underneath 69.55 to have wide, want to reiterate that, 20, 30 point plus rotations, wide rotations in here, right? And I want to stay out of the middle. See how this has all been traded through repeatedly? Makes this area much more dangerous. I want to be trading near 69.20, right? That's the volume point of control. And then if I get stuck underneath 69.20 and we break below, okay, break below, test back up, and then I want to see the shot down here and maybe down there, but I seriously doubt it, right? So would be my C scenario. My A scenario is holding over 69.55 and pushing, and then I'm cautious in the middle. I'll be scalping through here at most because I don't want to get whipsawed back and forth. Okay, I want to take a minute and go back and show you what that looked like yesterday with all these arrows, how that plays out so you can see it. Yesterday's chart, ES. Well, how we'll do it on NQ is even more evident on NQ. So I'm going to draw it for you so you can learn it. We open above value area high. What I would have said yesterday is if we hold above value area high, I expect a push out, right? We gapped. We drove back into range, right? Back into range. Quick backside test. fail, down to the volume and TPO point of control. Chop, break, backside test, all the way back up. What's the size of the rotation? 69.21 to 69.62, 40 points, $800 a contract. Know where you're entering and how you're entering this thing, because you will get eaten alive on your stops on NQ, right? Comes to value area high, failure to get back above again. The volume point of control has already been tested. We come back to the 50-60, weak response, but in bull market, you have to expect it, right? Then we roll over. We're inside value. What do we expect inside value? This, right? Whipsaws back and forth. We roll down. It's a balanced day. We break first hour low. We test value area low to the tick, right? Come down to value area low, respond, get above my best last buyer, trap, back in to first hour low right here, backside test, take off, and then overnight we've tested all the way back up here. That is how the day played out. If you do not understand the basic structure of what we're going to do once you're back inside value for the prior day, you're going to get killed. You're going to get killed if you can't tell that once we open up, as long as we're above value, if you keep buying this thinking we're going to trend up, they are going to slaughter your trading account, okay? This was not a bearish day. This is a balanced day, but you've got to know what you're looking at before you're taking a position and working it. And you've got to understand it to be able to take the smaller scalps. You have to understand what they are looking for, right? We were trying to short right up here. We just didn't get filled, right? It just fell away too quickly. Okay, let's go back over to the trade plan on ES now. Before I do that, let me insert the tick. Okay, there we go. That's now set up for today. Spread that out a little bit. Okay, so that's my, I realize I didn't give as clean a scenario, but basically holding above 69.55 and I'm looking for longs. Below 69.55, I'm looking for balance and chop. Back above 69.55, looking for backside tests to push me up. I am bullish, not bearish. I turn bearish underneath 69.20 and holding, but only short term. As we push into these levels, I'm looking for reversals back up. Okay. Let us flip to NASDAQ. Why do I have two NASDAQ charts on here? We will fix this. Chart settings. Well, that took longer than it usually does. Okay, ES. There we go. So ES is a little bit cleaner in the way that its profile set up. Okay, so you can see 3 days of balance. See this whole thing? 3 days of balance. We are trading above 3 days of balance, 28.47, right? So I would expect normally when I see that and I gap up, even though we're not gapping out of range, I know I've got to obviously clear the all-time high, right? I want to make sure that if I open up, I get above 28.55, right? I want to make sure that I hold above and do not close below 28.46. As long as I'm above 28.46, I'm going to believe or look for ways to get long on dips within this area to push out and break to the upside. If I trap back into balance, right, there's no white zone, because see how the volume point of control is exactly the same for 3 days in a row? That's going to make that area, should make it a chop fest. But in general and in principle, even if we push below 28.46, as long as we hold 28.40 and get back above 28.46, the break to the upside is still possible. Getting below 28.40 is not a killer in balance, because you expect a bottom end of balance. Remember, this was inside to, am I missing a day there? No, I'm not. We're still inside Wednesday's balance day, right? So what are the keys there? I want to be able to hold. We're not bearish if we don't get below value area low. Below 28.36, I assume 28.20 is going to make an attempt to get tested. Also, I'm looking for a trap back in to Wednesday's low. So if I come in here, right, so I get below value area low, we make a shot to run the stops, come into the second distribution and the volume point of control, trap back up, backside test, and push back in, right? so that we end the week just neutral with 4 days of balance. That's assuming we get below 28.36, right? If things get really hairy, we're at 28.49. The most likely biggest extension would be 30 away. That would bring us up to 28.20. Still brings us right into this area. It's hard to imagine getting past 28.20 today. And there's really nothing to repair on the chart beyond this off here to the left. So this ought to do it in this general area. I am looking for swing longs out of this area. Back up. If we consolidate below 28.20, we have a big drop into major support down here at 28.05, 28.06. Okay. Holding above 28.45. This trading above this nook, 28.52, which if you'll look is exactly where we traded to on Globex high. This repairs this chart on ES, so it's a little bit of confusion. NQ looks like it wants to break out. We really need to hold above 28.52. The danger is we get to 28.52. This is the same 28.52 we exhausted at yesterday. This repairs this chart and then possibly responsive sellers back into the point of control. I'll be watching ES a little bit more closely. You want it to hold above that anomaly there and get fixed. Okay, so 28.52 is actually pretty important along with 28.45. Again, remember, we're going to look for getting above our last best seller against 28.45 to push out towards 28.52, and then we're going to have to reevaluate at 28.52. We'll know if we have open drive higher or open drive lower. Underneath 28.45, wide range chop. Be careful where you take your entries. Make sure you realize it's likely to whip back and forth in here. Underneath 28.36, look for it to get directional, overextended at the lows, and push back in. That's my trade plan. Now, I want to show y'all something else. If we go to, I have to reset this entire page here in just a second. Minimize this. And minimize this. And let me get, oh, I just have a ton of these charts up here that I do not need. Let me, okay, here we go. This is what I wanted. There we go. Okay. Hourly chart, RTH. Swing low to swing high. This is what we are currently working on. Okay. Okay. So what you will see, we have not shifted up in the volume point of control. They're trying to get volume to shift up, but they have a long way to go. A lot of volume built down here. Normally, if you cannot shift volume up, this tends to start to act as a magnet and pull us back, and that's right into major support, right? I expect somewhere between here and here to find responsive buyers. There's a pronounced low volume node right at 28.0175. You can bet dollars to donuts. Between 28.05 and 28.0175, I will be looking long, okay? We have to get above, see this low volume node, okay? And this low volume node. They've been serving as resistance. You'll notice that's 28.50, 28.45, shockingly enough, right? We have to get above these and hold above. If you will notice prior breakouts, so what I want to show you is the comparison before what we had last time and what we have this time, right? So a couple of things. If you look at from the swing low to the swing high last time, here to here, okay? See how that point of control never shifted up and they finally came right down and tested it? And they actually pushed behind. Notice that the pronounced low volume node was all the way down in here and we came right down to it. Right, see that? We came right down to that low volume node. The low volume node this time is inside of that high volume node. That's why I think that 28.01 will hold so nicely. That's what I'm targeting in there, this 28.05 to 28.01, this whole area. You can bet dollars to donuts. I will be in that position. So notice up here, right, it's essential that we hold above this volume point of control. Notice this is where, see that high volume node? Talking about right here. See how we're chopping through that high volume node, see how it's really hard to put on a position. I would make sure that I avoid putting on positions between 28.42, 28.37. Underneath is all right. Above is all right. Inside, pretty damn tough, right? We keep whipping back and forth through that area, right? Notice that we keep rejecting in this 28.50 to 28.45 area. What do I want to see on the breakout? Notice when we finally broke out, see how we built this volume node? We tried to break, tried to break, tried to break. And notice very distinctively, there was a place we simply could not close above, right? If you look at this, see how we simply could not close above that 28.0550. They tried, they kind of poked their head above, they couldn't. And then we definitively had a bar that closed almost at the high on the hourly, right? And it was clearly the highest close in the group, and it was very strong. That began the breakout. It was on the 19th, right? You'll see that right there. And that began the upside march. So where are we having, if you take out this number right here, right? Where's the highest close on an hourly? That is the highest close on an hourly outside this number. So my guess is if we can hold, right? If we can hold this 28.4575 this morning and we can get and close above, right? We can close above 28.52 and a quarter. Any backside test into this area should prepare us to launch to the upside. Conversely, if we close back underneath 28.45, guess what? I expect us to go back and trade through the range, which is 36 to 32 area. Not shocking. This is going to be the hardest area to trade in, right? So now you understand when you're getting setups, if you're getting blown out in this area, you're getting blown out because you're trading in a high volume area, right? So that's my 2 cents. That's what I'm looking for. And if we do that same picture on NQ, so I'm gonna, and I want to show you how this is filled out. Hold on a second here. So see before, now here's the after. Same picture. Here's where we're at to right now. See how that point of control has gotten larger, but the volume, hold on, let me erase all lines. Okay, let me just clear the whole chart. So remember before, the point of control is down here, right? Point of control has shifted up as of yesterday, right? So now, what do you have underneath? We have distinctive low volume nodes. There. I expect sharp responses, particularly the first time into that one right there, 28.16. And then we have a minor one here. And then this old point of control at 2800 is still very, very important, right? And it would be a big stretch down. Notice that each of these locations, we front ran that yesterday, and we should get a response out of this area, and we should get a response out of that 28.16 as well. You'll notice that's right back to the scene of the crime for the auction process and a backside test of prior resistance, essentially, right? So that puts us into a key area. Again, why I'm looking for a response back up. Notice that we have an inability. We've rejected out of this area 1, 2, 3 times, right? Notice that once we trap underneath this consolidation over here, we tend to push down, right? Notice that we have a higher high and a higher low. If this changes and we get underneath this higher low, I would expect this to give, and then we come down and break that just enough to chase this low volume node, push us back in, trap back underneath, and push back in, right? So it's just a patience game here is all it is. We will get set up if you are not in a rush. I'm going to say that again. If you're not in a rush. Now, if you're aggressive, you're backside testing this 28.4750, this is where you want to look for the pushback out and the hold. Again, I'm burning the first half hour because that served me well over the last couple of days. I'm looking for so specifically for entries, 10-point rotations down in ES. Even if we break out, right, we've been getting 10-point rotations, and Q 30-point rotations have been coming all over the place. If you've been trading in front of a 30-point rotation, you have been getting killed, right? Unless you have a lot of skills, a day trader and a scalper. So that's my 2 cents for today. There are no white zones within balance. And if we go back to our chart just for today, right, now go back to the zones calmly. Now I've gotten all that out. We just backside tested value area high on NQ and have held. If you are uber aggressive and you bet that low is going to hold, that's the beginning of a start of a potential break and a retest of Thursday's high. We could not test value area high on ES. It's still early. I'm not trading. I'm pretty sure I'll have setups through the course of the day. We've broken this downtrend on NQ, right? It's just a line on a chart, doesn't mean anything, right? The value area high is much more important. So I want to see a consolidation above, obviously above Globex high and above Thursday's high. Sets us up for an assault on Wednesday's high. And if you look 69.54 to 7,000, yesterday we had a 60-point rotation up. That's easily doable for today, right? Key is hold above value area high. So does anyone have, before I break off on YouTube, right? We know that we're in a bullish situation. I'm looking for, by the way, a backside test of the white zone. And Russell, I will be attacking that first time in. It's a bit wider than normal. You may want to make sure you get above your best last seller and that push down, right? What else was I going to say? That's really about it. I expect a push and attempt to the upside. I'm not bearish. Anyone have any questions? Am I clear on my trade plan, guys? I'm looking for rotations down against my best last seller to get long, and I'm going to try to push my longs to the upside. That's what we do in a bull market. In my shorts, I'm most likely scalping them. Okay, great, Tom. Tom's a pretty good gauge of when I'm clear and when I'm not clear. Okay, guys, on YouTube, thank you for joining us this morning. If you liked it, please hit the like button, right? I don't have anything to do in the first half hour because I don't think you need the first half hour to make anything work. I think the best setups come after the first half hour. The most important thing, so let's go back to the basics, right? I'm moving pretty quick with the scalping and such, right? But what you want to ask yourself through the course of the day, now that I can slow down, right? What you want to ask yourself through the course of the day, guys, I'm talking to my coaching clients specifically. What you're asking yourself is, where can I take a trade where I have the minimal amount of risk and the maximum amount of reward? What does that look like for me? What does that look like on a trend day up? And can I identify those things? The whole point of realizing that we're above value area high isn't necessarily so you can just guess and throw a dart at it and hold, right? The idea would be now. So see how we have these first sellers? Get above your first sellers. Like if I get above 28.50 and close, I'm going to look for a backside test of 28.50 with a stop right below my seller, right? Either on a higher time frame or a lower time frame to get long. I'm going to ask the market to prove it to me. And that's going to be an okay trade for me because I know I'm above value area high, right? Conversely, if I get underneath value area high, I'm going to come back and look for a backside test of my last best buyer for a push where back into the volume point of control, right? And then the next thing I'm going to ask is, do the characteristics when we're starting the day, right? Since I can look and I know I'm not trading one way or the other, is this the characteristic of an open drive higher? So the first problem with the open drive higher concept is that we are inside range, right? We've not gapped out of range. We have 3 days of consolidation, but there's no promise that we'll gap out of that consolidation. What will it look like? We will be here, right? We have to get above that to start with because we have the first bar is a sell bar. We have to get above this to start with because the first bar is a sell bar. And usually on open drive higher, it's green and runs out of the gate. What's the market been doing? For inexperienced traders, they've been buying that first 5-minute bar the last 3 days. And I promise you, if you go look at P&L or capital on people's trading account, they've been slaughtered on buying that open. Why? Because for about 3 weeks in a row, you could buy the opening print and it just worked, right? And then all of a sudden, all it takes is 1 week of undisciplined capital management of buying that open print, watching your capital go to zero really quick or giving back every penny you have, right? Next question. If you get underneath or back into the value area, right, remember for your trend day up, right, even if you're pushing the trade, remember you're going to meet resistance back at value area high. You've got to get above it. So don't be surprised, right, if you get a long from here. Don't be surprised when you come up here if we come all the way back and test it before breaking above. You got to be above to break out, okay? And then over here, expect resistance in this area, which means we could ultimately end up all the way up here, but don't be shocked if we come all the way back for a test. Why? Because we can go from 69.75 to 69.55. It's one rotation, right? And still end up pushing all the way out. You've got to integrate those rotations, and there's nothing wrong with saying, I believe we'll close at a new high. Just where I see the confusion come in is what you're saying if you're going long from here, or even if you're going long right here, saying, hey, we're breaking out today, that's cool. Where people get confused is they come up and they go, oh, I dumped the position when it came back, right, to retest value area high again, and then it broke out, and I lost all my profits, and I lost the trade. You've got to understand swing traders don't care about all this, right? Swing traders do not care about all this. only people that care about that are people who are day traders. So for me, go long here and not take any scales because I think we're going to push all the way out like this. You'll see me looking once we're up here for sells to get it back above and retest for pushing higher. That's how I enter my trades, with really relatively low risk and high reward. So, and that's the same thing goes for ES, right? And so you can see in the way that people are trading right now, see this whipsaw right here? People are trying to short. So there's half a group that are going, hey, we've pushed into point of control every single day. Those people are shorting the open. There's another group of people that are going long, going, hey, trend day up. I'm buying the open, and they're clashing. The very fact that we're trading like this shows that this is not OTF. This is locals handing contracts back and forth to one another, and they're trashing each other over a 10-point range, right? A 12-point range. And for small day traders, that's killer because you're talking about $200 each pop, right? You're talking about $200, $300 on each poor decision you make. So let the market come into you. We're not open driving higher because we have overhead resistance right now, and you've got to see them established. So now we're testing that value area high. I clearly want to get above these guys, and then I know I have a good chance of coming up and testing Globex high, Thursday's high, and then possibly breaking out. But until that point, I can stay very cool. Same thing right here. So guys on YouTube, thank you for joining us this morning, right? Just stay relaxed. The market will come to you, know what you're looking at, make a lot of money. Let's go get it, guys.